Welcome, student of Walter State. My name is Dr. Terry Rawlinson. I'm going to be giving you an overview of this writing assignment dealing with an article review. Now, to start us off, I'm going to get my screen here to eLearn. So imagine this is your course that you've logged into here at eLearn, and you'll see a number of links across the top of this bar. You also notice, by the way, there's a green dot where my cursor moves, just to make it easier for you guys to see where I'm clicking. But in this video, I'm going to give you an overview of how this assignment is going to work. The first thing I want you to do is, when you log into your course in eLearn, click on the content link. When you click on the content link, your professor will have a variety of resources. Some professors have more than others, but in any case, one of the resources that will be under this content link will be this section called Materials for Article Review Paper Assignment. So this assignment is going to require that you construct a at minimum two-page double-spaced essay critiquing and discussing an article you read in the field of psychology. So what I'd like to do first is give you an overview of the resources you have in order for you to complete this assignment. The first resource you see here is the thing you're watching now. Watch a video that discusses this assignment in detail. The second resource is titled Paper Overview and Requirements. If you click here, a PDF document will open that will discuss the assignment, establishing why you're doing it to better create a bridge between research and what you're learning in your textbook, and the task, you picking one of 5 research articles that we're about to look at in a second, and then writing about the article's data analysis results and conclusions in terms of adequacy. If you'll look here, there's a systematic step-by-step guide as to what should be in your paper. A, briefly discuss the subjects or participants in the study. B, describe the methodology, how they collect the data. C, describe the analysis. D, you're going to make an argument of adequacy. Was it an adequate data analysis or wasn't it? This is your perspective. E, describe the results of the study. Were they sufficient? You're going to make that argument in F. G, describe the conclusions of the study. What did they find? What were the generalizations? How does this relate to everyday life? H, were they adequate? You're forming an argument of the adequacy of that conclusion. I, how does the data analysis relate to one another? Lastly, you're going to talk about, make sure you have your references and citations in APA format, and you're going to save the paper in a rich text format before you upload it to digital Dropbox. Now, that's really important that I point that out, that make sure whatever word processor you guys are using, Microsoft Word, Pages on a Mac, Open Office, Star in Office, any of these things, give the option to save as a rich text format. It is critical you save in a rich text format, or this paper will not be able to be graded for this assignment. The second resource you'll see here and back in eLearn is a link that says View Sample APA Paper. And what this resource will show you is a typical paper in APA format, having a title page. Notice all the highlighted areas describe what should be on the title page, like the title, your name, the instructor's name, course name, due date. And then you're going to see section headings, introduction, treatments. And again, this is just a sample paper to kind of illustrate how you do in-text citations. This is, in fact, here is a direct quote from these authors. You can tell it's a direct quote because of the year and page number represented in the in-text citation. And of course, if I look to the reference list of this paper, I'm going to see a corresponding reference. Your paper for this assignment is just going to have one reference, the article you review. But in any case, this paper just is meant to serve as a formatting example to show you double spacing, in-text citations, just generally how your paper should look when you turn it in. I'm going to close this resource. The next resource you're going to need to take a look at here says View Grading Rubric. Now when you click here, a rubric is just a tool that your professor is going to use to assess the quality of your work. The rubric looks like this. Notice it has rows and columns. The rows are called aspects, and that's what your professor is going to be checking your paper for. Clarity of communication is the first aspect. How clear the work was presented. Was it hard to read because of grammatical errors, or because it didn't flow well, or wasn't coherent? Mechanics. I got ahead of myself. Was there grammar errors or syntax problems? Style of writing. Was it highly varied sentence structure? Was it the same typical sentence repeated over and over and over again? So that's aspects across the rows here. The quality, how you're going to be graded, is on these 4 levels, starting with level 1 being a poor representation, 2 being below average, not acceptable but better, 3 being minimally competent, that you minimally show competency for this aspect, and 4 high quality work or high demonstration of competency. So let's just take for example, clarity of communication. Let's say that the work wasn't logically presented, it didn't use section headings, the ideas weren't well organized. You probably score 1. Let's say that your ideas were slightly better organized, but there still were no section headings, and at times it was a bit jarbled or jumbled up. You would get a 2. If the work was easy to understand, but you didn't use, let's say, section headings, you might get a 3, and for a perfect or high competency score, you would get a 4 if you use section headings and you wrote the paper really well, really well. So you'll see different aspects here, and this is what your professor is going to be using to grade your paper. So I would suggest to you, as you write it, you look at this rubric and ensure that you are adhering to all, especially the criteria for this level 4. So for clarity of communication, use section headings extremely clear, no or little grammatical errors, highly varied sentence structure. You describe the participants clearly, things like age, demographics, gender, ethnicity, things like that. Summary of methodology. You talk about how the researchers collected the data. What tools did they use? Describe the tools precisely if possible. Was it a survey? Was it an objective test? Data analysis, and this is where it can be a little tricky for students. What statistical analysis technique did the researchers use? Adequacy of the analysis. Did you find it adequate considering the goals of the study? Did the analysis answer the questions? Results of the study. What were the results they found based on the analysis? Adequacy of the results. Do you feel like they were adequate based on the goals and purpose of the study? Conclusions. What did the researcher conclude? And again, an argument by you here of whether or not it was adequate considering the goals and purpose of the study. APA formatting. Did you reference the paper? Did you provide at least one in-text citation? And if you directly copied and quoted from the article into your paper, that you used direct quoted in-text citations. Was the paper at least 2 pages in length? If you meet all of these, you're going to score very well. Just know that your professor is going to be using this rubric to grade your paper, and I'm going to show you where you're going to turn that in just a moment. I'll close this out. The next resource you're going to see is you're going to see the 5 articles that have been pre-selected for you. Now these may vary depending on your professor, but for right now, all professors are given these 5 particular articles to choose from. And you may see different articles depending on your class, but I suspect most of you will see these 5. Your next job is to open these articles and read what's called the abstract at the beginning of it. So for this article titled Working through pain, working memory capacity, and differences in processing storage under pain. If you read the first paragraph here, it's going to give you a synopsis of the study. Ask yourself, does it sound interesting? Does it sound like an article I want to read? If the answer is yes, strongly consider it. You need to go through all 5 of these and read the abstracts of each and determine which one you feel is the most intriguing for you to write about. After you've read it entirely, after you've chosen the article and read it entirely, you're going to construct that essay, and you're going to do your best to make sure that it adheres to the rubric guidelines I showed you earlier. Once all the rubric guidelines, once you're finished with your essay, in week 8, and this is really, really important, in week 8 of your semester, at the Dropbox location here, the link here at the top, you're going to navigate over here and you're going to see a Dropbox folder called Article Review Paper. In week 8, and no later than week 8, you're going to submit this paper by clicking on the Dropbox. Let me do this. Let me back up. I'm going to go to Course Home and show you what this would look like from your view as a student. Again, you're going to go to Dropbox. You're going to click on Article Review Paper. And essentially what you're going to do is you're going to add a file down here where it says Files to Submit. You'll click Add a File. Then you'll navigate using this Browse button to wherever you have stored your document. So I'm just navigating on my personal computer here, and I'm going to upload this document. Let's say this is my essay I've constructed after reading the article and following the rubric. I'll click Open, and I'll click Upload. Now, once you're there, you'll see the article displaying here, and you can add any comments you want to your professor. And when you're ready, you can click Submit. When you submitted, you will know that it's successful when you see this confirmation email sent successfully. You will also be sent an email confirming your submission. I want to notice something. I did actually make a mistake here. Notice this document is g72gx.docx. I would have not actually done this right. So let's say I wanted to re-upload the file. That should be RTF, remember, rich text format. So let's go to Upload More Files. I'm going to upload an RTF file this time. Add a file. Browse. Try to find a rich text format here. Might not have one. I have a few text documents here, but okay. Well, I'll do this real quick. I'll open up Microsoft Word, and I will save that document, that exact document I told you guys about, as a rich text. That'll be a good learning moment, a teaching moment here. Just go down and open the G72GX document up. I click File, Save As, and I want to choose Other Formats. And then when I click my drop down here, notice I will have a rich text format option right here. Select rich text format and save. Close out Word, and let's go back to here. I'm going to browse again for the document. Notice I have now 2 of these files. Under the type, one's called Microsoft Office and one's called Rich Text. We're going to select Rich Text, Open, Upload. Again, I can make any comments, and then I'm ready to just submit. Again, I get a confirmation email saying that it did go through. So one thing you need to know about this assignment is I've showed you how you're going to, all the resources associated with the content section. I've showed you the link to the video, the overview, sample formatting paper, your grading rubric, and the 5 articles. But you're probably wondering how you're going to get your grade. Your professor is going to grade this in the Dropbox using the same rubric I showed you earlier after you submit it in week 8. If you meet or score at least 70% competency, you're finished with it for the semester. Now, if you do not score 70% competency, you're going to be asked to revise the document using feedback that your professor gives you in the digital Dropbox. That feedback will be used to revise the document, and you're going to again submit it in the digital Dropbox no later than week 15 of your semester. So just a quick recap. This assignment is due in week 8 of the semester, the middle point of the semester. Once it's graded, if you score 70%, you're finished with it for the year. If you do not, you score less than 70%, you are to revise the document using the feedback given to you and resubmit it by no later than week 15. This assignment is a pass-fail, meaning that if you do not complete this assignment, you will not pass your course. So it's inherently important that you meet all the requirements, or at least score the 70%, whether it's to the initial submission at week 8 or after revision at week 15. Well, this concludes the video. I hope you feel more confident about the assignment. Again, use the resources that are here. Talk to your professor if you have questions. But make sure you do a good job and submit this assignment on time. Thank you and best of luck.